Hola, 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 todo el mundo, ¿cómo están? Aquí estamos, acabadita de bañar, porque hoy me di la oportunidad. All right, let me start this in English because I forgot I was doing a live in English. So, what we're doing today, my people, is I have a channel called VivianV_GA, and this is for my TikTok people. I have YouTube here. Where I speak about my spiritual journey. And if you guys want to log in through YouTube, because I think that TikTok thinks I'm selling stuff online. So, whatever, they tend to block it. So, if you guys want to listen to the journey and why I started doing jewelry and all that, then you can go in YouTube, find me under VivianV_GA, and you can join through YouTube as well. Anywho, for my YouTube people and my TikTok people, let me see if the camera doesn't block. This is my studio. I create music in the studio. I actually also do jewelry here. So before we start, I want you to know that this layer I'm peeling today is one I avoided for many years. If you ever felt like your healing has gone to that secret chapter, just stay with me. This is one that changes mostly everything in the journey. And we're here to learn together. This is a community for us to learn together. So feel welcome to chat with me in YouTube. Unfortunately, because of having TikTok on my phone, I'm not going to be able to answer back. If you want to comment or ask questions, you can go on YouTube and go ahead and ask the questions in there. So, a long time ago, a few years ago, I started a movement called the Battle of Love, the Awakening. I had a prophetic dream and a vision where I understood I was going to be invited, or I should have invited people into being part of a union between the East and the West through music. So for first time in my life, I went ahead created this little studio. I have like a music studio here and also my creative studio, right? When I do like finger painting or whatever I feel like in the arts. And at the beginning, when I saw that vision, if you see my comments in the community tab, you're gonna see I explain it. I saw three capes: a red cape with a black lining, a black cape with golden lining, and a silver cape with, sorry, so it was like a whitish with a silver lining. That's what I meant. So I did hear the names of two people, which I thought it was I should invite them to do this union in music or whatever, because I didn't know the names of the people, but I actually, when I searched them, it resulted to be people from the industry. Um, Obviously, I was not in my full mode of healing. It was an invitation to actually heal people through music. And long story short, a lot of things went on. I started doing the peeling the onion, differmenting your hard disk kind of series of videos where I explained to people the layers of the onion and stuff like that related to spirituality. So I started being bullied online pretty badly. There was a lot of triangulation, and I discovered in the path that I had PTSD. So, TikTok might go down. I just got a message that my battery is low. So, guys, if you want to continue this one, please move to YouTube because I need to turn it off. Like literally, the battery is at, yeah. Oh, great. I just washed my hair and check this out. I'm putting my eyeglasses on and I cannot see nothing. All right, let's use them as a magnifying glass. Yeah, it only has like 5 left of battery. So if you want, I'm connected in YouTube, VivianV_GA. Follow me there and let's keep the chat. Take care, guys. Let me see how to finalize this right here on the top. There we go. All right. Sorry for that. Yeah, I didn't plan on this. Let me just go ahead and use this side to charge my phone. This phone right here, it's going to be the phone where you guys can actually, if I ever mention any of the natural stuff that I'm using and you want the link, based on not wanting to go against any community policies or whatever, the phone is listed in my nutrition wellness photo that's in my community tab. You can IM me if I shoot a message saying, hey, IM me if you want the link for this or if you want more information on that. You can IM me to this phone. I regularly don't use it because you see it's kind of messed up everywhere. But I will be answering the text on my time off and I will be letting you know the things that I use. Obviously, we're talking about natural things like today. I'm drinking here my coffee. This coffee has changed my life. I don't I don't know how, but we'll talk about that later. Let's talk about peeling the onion. So, peeling the onion for me and the journey that I started was not only how music will integrate by creating songs that had more content, that when we sing them, we actually can feel them healing us. I did a song called Phoenix Reborn in Christ, and that was the original state. I was in a place where I wanted to be safe from myself. When I say safe from myself, it's because I was a very, very hard overthinker. And I did go through a very bad experience in life. And I was learning how to get out of there. Um, I did had to undergo a bariatric surgery because I was almost about to lose my ability to walk. So when I was in my recovery stages, I was always doing meditation and this prophecy started coming in. I never understood the full mission because I focused on what the mission said, the names that the mission mentioned. I thought it had to be something that had to go hand by hand with these people because the names with last names came into my brain and I just didn't know that people. But searching for their names and knowing that they were in the music industry and seeing the type of projects that they were working at the time when I was focused in Christianity make me think, oh, yeah, maybe it's a project that I have to do with them. Um, Within the journey and the bullying and all that, I started going back into old habits of being defensive and over explaining myself, as well as triggering my inner deepest wounds. And when I say that, I say the part of the secret of my chapter is I never knew how stubborn I was until I saw myself skating around in circles with the same mindset. here I was having a lot of knowledge that I didn't know where it came from, because it was definitely me channeling divine consciousness or my higher self, however you want to call it, having this knowledge about many things because I love reading ancient books. But my ego didn't let me see that what I was speaking about, I was not actually practicing. And why do I say this? I don't say it because I want to justify myself. I don't care about justifications. Really, I grew up from them based on this last experience. So I started doing different segments about how to interact with our spirituality and our healing journey by using natural things to make comparisons. And I started with peeling the onion. And peeling the onion, what I saw was you have the onion and it has a very, very thin layer, right? That thin layer is brittle and it's like a paper like. And when you go like this on it, it really comes off. Some others layers start being stronger and stronger and stronger until you get to that layer that is half onion, half like the outside, right? And then you get to the product, which is the true onion. So I started making metaphors on when you cut the onion, what happens? You cry. So every time you go from a layer of an onion to the other layer to the other layer, you start going deeper until you get to the heart, right? Which is the essence. That's what we humans do when we're on a spiritual awakening. The thing that other people don't understand is how it looks from the outside is devastating. Why? Because you have to be raw and authentic to do this live. And I did it live. I posted live, I expressed my emotions live. I even, I will say, at times blame the wrong people. At other times, I ask for forgiveness to the wrong people as well. It was a duality that you cannot explain everyone that sees it from the outside, but just the people that have lived it. I'm not saying I'm fully awakened because we do have a lot of material aspects of life that we need to let go of. So I'm raw, no makeup. I was actually gonna do my makeup when I talk to you guys because I do have to go out after this. But I want to focus on peeling the onion because I don't want to do this longer than, I would say, 30 minutes. So the onion in the outside is brittle. What happens when we don't have maturity in our emotions? Our boundaries are brittle. Um, Also, we become reactive. We also not take accountability of things. We can become protective, right? So when you start peeling the onion and you pass that layer and you recognize that on yourself, the next layer is like a thicker skin, which is more solid. So to peel it from the onion, it's not like the first one that you can just like brush away. You really have to find a space and pull it back. For me, that's like scratching a old scab. And for you to finally be able to open your heart to true love, you need to peel that part of the onion. You need to actually see what's hiding behind or underneath that scab that you never wanted to peel because you were scared or avoiding it. Then when you get to the onion, to the center on the onion, you have a lot of layers, right? Because you know the onion has the rings and the layers, and between each ring there's some membrane. That's like, for me, metaphorically speaking, the resonance of old patterns and old wounds that can get triggered when you're in a specific interaction. Now, the onion itself, if we're going to compare it, is strong antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial. It supports heart health, digestion, immunity. It has vitamin C, vitamin B6, like potassium. So, what happens when you get triggered? I am a survivor of PTSD. As I mentioned before, I did suffer or discovered I had PTSD very recently, a few years ago. Um, when it comes to PTSD, they started using some medications on me that made me feel discombobulated. I was not able to focus or center. I was totally like felt like my head was disconnected from my body. So I understood that the medicines were working at a certain point because they were giving me the calming reflection that I needed, like not the reflection, but the calmness that I needed in order to ground myself back. Unfortunately, I resulted to be like had, how do you call it, side effects from these medicines, and they tried different things and it didn't work. So I always have been very autodidact, which means that if somebody tells me you have this condition, I'm going to search what the condition is, how it is treated, and what natural ways I can take to heal it on my own. When I started looking at PTSD and I started seeing the triggers of it, and I knew that I was on a spiritual journey, I compared them both. And that brought me into a place where I understood that by peeling the onion, you were becoming vulnerable, you were sharing your story. And I was not ready to deal with the projections of others because I thought I was speaking of this to help people and blah, blah, blah. The savior mindset that we have to get away from. And I ended up hurting myself because I exposed myself and opened myself to be in places and with people that I shouldn't, that I should have closed the door from the get go because their actions were definitely telling me the truth, but I didn't want to see it. So that's what I call actually opening into a part of me that probably I avoided to confront for a majority of my life, which is that part of that stubbornness that when I think something is what I feel it is, I go all in it because I didn't recognize that those inner child wounds were actually part of the lack of self love that I had, part of the fear of abandonment that I didn't work, and part of the attachments and clinginess that I didn't understand about PTSD. So when I put them all together, I started defragmenting them. So I called that part defragmenting the disc, but we'll talk about that later. I'm just giving you the peeling of the onion kind of thing. So as the layers started opening and I went deeper within, there was a point where the PTSD was triggered at a major point where fear took over my life. I've never felt that in my life ever. So I understood that since it was a spiritual journey, there was an attack that I needed to understand. What that attack was, not who was attacking me, but what the attack was. At the beginning, I was focused on the who. I like puzzles, so I wanted to solve the puzzle. I wanted to know who was who. I felt a lot of energies that were literally taking up my livelihood, vital energy of creativity, of my connection with the one above. Everybody called that connection a god. I call it divine consciousness. We all have it. We all can tap into it. It's just that we all have different energetic levels and capacities of floating and navigating within those levels. That's why I call jumping timelines and stuff like that, because with PTSD, some days I was able to be in a very cool, calm, and collected energy where I can connect with my conscience, universal conscience, and actually channel messages. But at other times, I was down in the pit of the darkness because I needed to learn how to actually get above that water. So as you start peeling the onion, things that you have to actually acknowledge is people call them archons, Archons. These energies feed from fear, confusion, they feed from anything that vibrates low. So at a point, I was surrounded with so many people that were actually vibrating so low that I, as an empath, was absorbing. I had different people that connected with me that wanted something from me, either if it was attention, um, things like that, right? But at the same time, that energy made me act that way. I don't know how to explain it. Again, I'm not justifying myself. I'm just explaining how the spiritual portion of it works. And I think we're going to go a little bit over 30 minutes because this part is very important for everyone to understand, because it can help you understand your surroundings and evolve and transform the energy by detaching from an expectation. So, what happens in this portion of the journey is that you're going within yourself, being vulnerable and opening up to the layers of your and because you are in that vulnerability, and you might have a very good charisma, and you might have a very good heart, and you might have this mindset of loving others based on what you believe love is, like myself, you may start opening yourself to being in places where you're not being reciprocated the energy, but people are using it for them to feel better. When I noticed that all of this was happening and my own energy was changing, I became curious of knowing and targeting who was the owner of which energy. And that was my downfall because I knew better. As a spiritualist, I know that if I do that, I will tap into the depths of the darkness of that other human being. But I think it was part of the mission, because if I never went to their depths of shadows, I would never know how to explain anyone or try to help anyone into figuring it out so they can also get out of there. So, how the game works: you are the main character. Therefore, whatever you think, you create. You're talking about spirituality, right? If you have a positive mindset, which you cannot have the 24 hours of the day, right? It's illogical. Everybody cannot be like happy wappy all the time, because there's going to be always something learned to heal, something new to heal, something learned to know or experience for you to understand the depths of your soul. So when you start exploring in this world, you're going to be confronted with game players, right? These players that are around you, they will have different frequencies. So you are in charge of making sure, like in a game, that your life source don't go down. I think everybody's going to understand that analogy. In a game, you have to have lives to continue playing, or energy power to continue playing. And if you go low in energy, you have to refill. That's your daily life. That's not one day, one morning, one afternoon. No, that is your full daily life. The church call it the armor of God. And I respect it because it is a true description of what should happen, but there is a lot of misinformation out there from indoctrination that wouldn't allow people to understand their surroundings if not explained on a more deeper level. So I told you about the three capes: the red, the black, and the white. The other day I had another premonition and I saw a dragon and a horse. And if you go to my community tab, you're going to see where the dragon and the horse meet, which is the year 2026, where the energies of the dragon and the horse are actually meeting, and that fire is actually allow a lot of people to wake up from the game. Waking up from the game doesn't mean that you're going to start living in this world or dimension, right? It means that you're going to know how to play your game so you are not confused by the chaos around you. There's a lot of people that are going to wake up. I've been seeing this for years. I've been saying that the new age and the new era of Christianity is going to come up. And the reason why I say that is because religiously, for people, Christianity is a religion. But in essence, Christianity is a walk of life. It has nothing to do with the building, with the pastor. It has nothing to do with I don't know, with the whole entire thing. It is a way of living that you have to learn because it's a physical aspect of yourself. So, with that being said, when you start becoming vulnerable, you have to watch two things. Number one, who's projecting? And number two, who's a reflection of you? How you discern which one is which. Sorry for that. I felt like something was bothering me. It looks like I have a little piece of whichever. My own skin lifted. So when I went like this, it hurt. Um, so number one, projections. Number two, true reflections. If you want to know more about it, the essence, esenios in Spanish, which is a culture that it was mentioned in the Bible. They have a particular way of living, but it is being said that the years that Jesus was lost, he was actually learning from them. These were kind of priestesses that they had a very important way of taking care of their vessel. They will wake up pretty early and go into this cave that had very cold waters. They will immerse their body in freezing cold water. And then they will start working the earth. They actually drank water also in the morning. And then they will start working the land, their own food, in contact with earth. And then by midday, which they actually did fasting, right? So by midday, more or less, they will actually have their food, which was a type of bread that was done with sprouted seeds. What they said is that after the seed is dried and then it sprouts again, it's like you're reviving that seed, and then they would take that seed and make their dough or whatever, however they did. You can read about that culture if you want to. So I started looking into them and I started realizing that this practice has been few years now. It's been actually coming into the world, and people are doing this cold shower in the morning, and it's fun because I've been working and understanding a lot of things for more than 5 years, and then seeing that everything is developing. I know that the universal conscience is actually feeding us a truth that we were not understanding little by little. It's like they say, whenever something has to be presented to humanity so they evolve, it will be presented in different ways. So, what happens when the things happen? There's gonna be people that don't want you to understand what's going on. They want to go back into your sleeping patterns of not feeling awakened. And as I say, I'm not fully awakened because I still have detachments that I have to work with, attachments that I have to work with. In other words, I still need to learn how to control not my mind, but my PTSD, which comes from understanding the different lobes. If you want to know more about how the nerves and the places in the brain affect you, you will have to read more about the apocalypse, because the apocalypse is literally the internal battle of the brain. It's not something external, it's not something doomsday. It's actually how your body has these sensors that fight within each other. So, for an example, the vagus nerve is a receptor. If you're surrounded around people that are negative all the time, they're always complaining and blah 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 blah, and your receptor, which moves from one way to the other, is capturing those. Because let's say it's like a thing with Harris that attracts all that energy and moves. That is what goes, like, when you do the lymphatic or whatever, and you start moving this right here and stuff, like different things of massages that they give you for calmness or whatever. So that vagus nerve that runs all the way through, it's a carrier of information that goes up and down your spine. Therefore, if you allow your ears to absorb the noise, if you allow your eyes to look away from the presence, your senses are going to stimulate that nerve, and that nerve is automatically going to shut down your gut. Then you go on flight, like fight or flight mode. I do have some notes here. So if you notice that your hair is not growing like before, that is the major indicator that your connection with your consciousness is pretty bad. I noticed it in my journey. Like, I just washed my hair, but for you guys to see, I decided not to color my hair anymore. I have my grays coming out. Look at how long my hair is. That happened because I stopped engaging with the naysayers or the ones that wanted to provoke me. So my hair grew lengths and lengths and lengths, and everyone can have their hair grow. It's all related. The body is the vessel that helps you reach that awareness and enlightenment. So if your nails start going brittle, like the outside of the onion, that means that your vessel has been hijacked at a certain level, and your organs are starting to deteriorate in regards of contracting diseases, different things, like I would say viral stuff, right? When your gut is mixed functioning, that means that your vagus nerve has been polluted with the noise of the distractions. And when you're fully in flight or fight mode, that means that you're not breathing enough. I remember once somebody said, "Why don't you think before you speak?" I was fully on my PTSD binge. I was having good people in my eye and bad people in my ear, like literally. I was having people trying to make me doubt and make me feel less confident about who I was and what I was speaking about. And at that moment, I took it personally. And that was the fault because I already knew what projections were. But that was part of the experience I had to go through. So I understood how to come out of it. So if you're in a situation where doomsdays is like the only thing that you can think of, and you're in a very dark place, a very negative place, you need to take a step back. You need to take a step back, because if you keep on thinking about the problem, it's gonna be like when you throw a little pebble in the water and the ripple effect start happening. That's how your energy is gonna work, and then you keep attracting what you're complaining about. And at a point, I was in such a complainative mode that everything around me just and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? PTSD, right? I was totally alert. I was like if I drank like 20 espressos. So when I managed to get off of meds, when I started going back into my practices, I discovered that archons are hidden in your brain, and it's a form of ego that you have to overcome. And being stubborn is part of being egotistical. Having narcissistic tendencies, which out of the blue, everybody now is narcissistic, whatever. There's a lot of narcissistic tendencies that people has. But that doesn't mean the person is narcissistic. That means the person is living on their ego. They're they have their ego in a full blown mode. They're trying to boast, they're trying to call the attention of others by doing irradical stuff. That part of the journey is legit. It happens to everyone. But when people start judging you for it, you start feeling less than. When you need to understand is, yes, it's not okay that you go through it and you make others the culprit or you point fingers at them. At a point, you need to take accountability of how did I get there myself, right? And that's what I call the stubbornness part of this layer of the onion that I didn't understand. It was a point where, since I didn't know who was the person that was trying to hurt me, and I didn't take myself out of the experience to just block it and say, I don't care. I had this puzzle mentality that I wanted to figure it out. I wanted to know who was who. So that was my stubbornness, which brought me into that dark place. But yeah, understanding that there are certain parts of the brain, one is a red, black, and white, right? If you go to it, you probably, I have it in one of the posts that I did the other day. I did a drawing. I think no, it's not this one. This one is another butterfly. I know I did about probably in my room. I'm not gonna go get it right now, but when you start alchemizing the shadow and you bring light to it, what it means is that you're peeling the onion and you're finding the layers of you that you never wanted to speak about, that you thought that were okay and they're not, where you thought that you needed external validation, and really what you need is to understand yourself and know that you can be loved for who you are if you stop being afraid. When you start discovering all that, it gives you a possibility of saying, oh, I am reacting to this because I feel anger. I am reacting to this because I felt, I don't know, attacked. Why am I feeling attacked? So at times you don't understand that the reason that you feel attacked is because you're taking everything as it was meant to hurt you. Sometimes people do it in purpose, but other times they don't. They're just projecting. Learning to differentiate the both of them can get you in a place of understanding the different love languages. If you read that book, it's gonna be amazing. Um, this guy does explain that if you believe that everything is okay, everything will be okay. And the reason why is like the ripple effect. If I am the person that is shining out bright with positive energy, with a good vibration, then I can enter a room and switch their vibration from a medium low frequency to a higher level. It doesn't mean that I'm forcing them to change. It means that when I enter the room, someone is going to be bothered by my energy because they don't know how to actually vibrate in that level, and they'll feel attacked by anything I say. Others are going to be welcoming of that energy because they vibe with it, and others are going to be attracted to that energy because they've never seen it before. So there's different type of aspects that you have to understand. If a person cannot vibrate with you, they're going to tell you things like, your energy bothers me. I cannot feel that energetic. I feel like you are like a bunny rabbit, like you're in battery mode and you never stop. It's just because that person is going through a low vibration frequency where their problems are absorbing their energy, as it happened to me. Then there's other people that will say, oh, I feel so good by talking to you. I don't know why I could open up with you and tell you. everything that is happening. Perfectly fine. There's other people that are just going to know. The gut feeling is going to be there, and they're going to know you are part of their soul family. So, why do feel loneliness and why do we feel this doomsday mentality? Because we're avoiding the fact that we need to look at us in the mirror that we have in front of us. One of the things that I notice about the mirror effect is the mirror has two faces, right? You can be looking at someone and seeing the reflection of yourself in them, and that will bother you. And if that bothers you, you have to heal it because that's what the mirror is showing you. But there's other times that when that reflection bothers you because you're already past that part of your life and you, with love, can respect that they're going through their journey and stop feeling like you need to be their savior. That's where I lost control. I thought that the journey and the vision and the mission was for me to help this person heal aspects of his life that I could see from outside were not healed. And I forgot that is a double side mirror because I also, as a healer, have to start healing. So when I focus on giving the person my time and energy, I lost my time and energy. It got to a point where I was not even sure if the person was healed or unhealed until I started seeing with observation the actions and reactions. At that point, I knew that the alchemizing process of the journey has different states, and people can go from third level to level one again if they revert back into their old habits because of not having or being tired of trying, right? How to overcome that portion is not as simple as it sounds, but it takes a lot of courage because it's not nice to tell others, oh, I am stubborn. Oh, I am. O sea, it's like the world has masked living authentically so much that if you actually say the truth, people are gonna automatically go like, where are you going? And that is part of the compassion that the world has lost. I'm not saying you have to be there for every single person or you have to become their trash can so they can dump all their stuff on you. I'm saying you have to have the necessary compassion to have a listening ear, not allow it to affect you because they're not telling you you are the culprit. They're projecting on you their lacks. And also the amount of discernment to understand where in the spectrum of vibration they are. Because if they're going under lower vibrations, they will be using manipulation to try to get you back into your old patterns. So when we surround ourselves with the people that we admire and with the people that are go-getters and things like that, you also have to be careful because there is this type of vibrations everywhere. Not because a person becomes a true manifester of the perfect life, like others believe perfect life is, I don't know, only money or fame or being an influencer or having the best clothing. If you focus on that aspect of life, that's what you're going to attract. And then you're going to ask yourself, why can I not have a relationship or an interaction with another being that is actually reciprocal? It's because you're focusing on one part of the journey and leaving the other one behind. Because, yes, when it comes to go getter and make money, all of us are in for it. We want to live better lives, we want to have better stuff, you know? But when it comes to ourselves, we lack that part of being compassionate with the process and patient with the process. There's a lot of advice that I got on the way from this specific person that interacted with me that was very wise advice. Regardless of where it came from, there was also a lie. And the lie was the person was perpetrating to be somebody that they were not, based on the fact that if you have to create a false account to be seen, that means that you do not have the courage that it takes to face the person that you want to face. And when I understood that, I said, great. If you have that to protect, that's not the kind of life that I want. Because I want a person that can be themselves and understand that I'm going to present who I am to you honestly and openly, and not behind, I will say, a false mask. So that triggered me to understand something. Aside of focus on your connections that are nearby you and not those that you have interacting on these media places, that will prevent you from falling from scams, falling for false love interactions, and also that will prevent you from the huge community that's out there that profit out of your pain. Why I say this? They get you to engage in chatting with them, telling them your story, and they have ghost writers writing, I would say, scripts for a novel, a book, a show, and they're profiting off you. So please be careful. There's a lot of that type of scam going on. Aside of that, they're even converting your life story, your post, and your things into music to make money. So I decided to share the Battle of Love, the Awakening again, because even when they're profiting out of what I say and what I speak, I don't have that mentality. My mentality in my heart goes to those that do not have somebody to listen to them, those that do not have the means to reach a specific goal that they want to reach in rehabilitation or understanding of life, those that may have been bullied and they feel they don't have a friend. Not because I want to be the healer of the ages or anything like that, just because sometimes in life you can change somebody's world with just telling them you're loved exactly for who you are. You just have to learn to understand yourself and stop allowing others to make you believe you are not perfectly imperfect. I'll leave you guys with that one. And I'm not going to program when I'm going to be live. I am not going to make it a habit to be here all the time. But if you catch me, you catch me. And if you don't, you don't. But you can see the replays. And we're going to go back into the Battle of Love, the Awakening. We're going to speak about a lot of spirituality. And if at a certain point in life you feel that there is no way out, know that there is. Because we birth means that you relearn something. It means that you were able to acknowledge and take accountability of, like I said, stubbornness, ego, um, bad habits. I'm not perfect. I came the other day with a jingle that says, I'm not perfect, I know, but nothing can stop me from sharing my glow. Repeat it. Every morning, every afternoon, every night. Repeat it. Because your glow is not what you're wearing. Your glow is not how you wear makeup or how you comb your hair. You know what's your true glow? Love. A kind of love that understands others without allowing it to affect your love. That's what I call unconditional love. And that's what we're here for, to remember who we are. So when you unconditionally love someone and there is respect in an interaction, both can evolve and grow together, because you're not conditioning anyone to be who you want them to be or who you think they are. And that happened to me, and that was a very wide awakening. I was able to see the best in someone, right? And I was able to see their true essence, their higher self, their potential, as well as probably a lot of people saw that potential in me. But we all have things that we need to heal. And we cannot pretend that anyone has the necessity of allowing you to burst out your anger, your fears, or whatever in them and make them the trash bin of your garbage. We all have it. I'm not judging. But we all need to understand that no one is responsible to carry that baggage. It's your own load. You have to unpack it. You have to fold it. You have to start giving it into places where it can be revamped. Let's say, like when you donate, right? You have to donate your service, not as a sacrifice. I don't do this as a sacrifice or as a means to become anything that I'm not. I do this because I wish at times I will have somebody that will say things that will awaken me into stop being in that train of thought or that pattern of that dark place and say, oh, wow, I never saw it that way. Maybe if I change my perspective about it or perception about it, I can grow. I can actually change my life. So see it as a video game. If you are the main player, you have energy levels that you need to reach to move to the next stage. And you are the one in charge of getting those levels up in you. And never forget that love is transformation. Love is not only something that you get back because you give it. People have the right of declining the love that you think you're giving as a good love until you learn what true love is. You don't need anyone to complete you. You're perfect exactly how you are. And if someone comes to your experience, you don't need to feel clingy or scared that they're going to run away, because if it is the right person, they're going to understand you. They're going to be part of your journey. They're going to be passionate, yet not enable you. They will actually push and trigger you to wake up. Take care. I love you and see you soon. Bye bye.